Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today I wanted to focus on some of the moves that we've seen in the larger market and what this could mean specifically for the Jasmy token. I also do have a little bit of news to share with you from the Jasmy Medium site as well, so we'll be able to go into that and kind of dissect what this means. But before we start there, I did want to express a thank you to everybody who has recently subscribed. And a lot of this is thanks to the wonderful Jasmy community, as well as being mentioned by one of my friends, Sam, my financial friend, who also has a large YouTube channel. So anyway, thank you all for your help there, and now let's go ahead and dive right in. So to start, I figured it would be good to look at crypto bubbles, because it is always fun to look at crypto bubbles when we're seeing this, right? Not a red bubble in sight, which is fantastic. I mean, I guess you've got a couple here. We've got this one and this one if you really want to be, well, I guess that's a stable coin, so that doesn't really count. But we've got a couple tiny ones here and there, but we're going to ignore that. We basically can't see any of these. All we can see is a great sea of green. So obviously, we've got some of our memes up, pretty, I think they're kind of leading the market, Pepe, Bonk, Brett, Popcat, Whiff, Shib, we got a lot of them, Doge. They're all obviously doing very well. One thing that I think is worth considering or worth noting here is I feel like memes are very, very volatile. So usually when we see these green days, we see 20%, 13%, 7, 12. We see a lot of this type of stuff, but also when we see red days, just basically change these pluses into minuses, and that's what we're seeing negative. So they're essentially just the most volatile. If any of you come from a traditional stock market background, we would call that a beta. Usually a stock market with a higher beta means that it moves larger in proportion with the wider market, right? So if the market average is 1 and something has a beta of 2, if things go up, it's going to go up double what the average, like the market average, would be, and if it goes down, it's going to go down double what the market average would be. So if you didn't already know that, hopefully I hope you learn a little bit of stock jargon today. So the other thing I wanted to point out, I'll probably be going into this in a couple future videos, but we are starting to see some fairly large gainers of items within the Bitcoin system themselves. So I think it might be worth looking into the Bitcoin layer 2s and seeing if that if there's something there, or just kind of learning a little bit more about it, because I do think in order for us to be good investors, we do need to have a pretty holistic sense of what's going on in the entire market, not just sitting in an echo chamber of what we want to hear because it makes us feel better about our conviction plays or whatever. So overall, the crypto bubbles are looking really nice. Here we got the trusty Jasmy right up here sitting in the top left corner, which is nice. So moving on, let's head into the chart. For those of you who've been around the channel for a minute or two, you'll know that we drew some of these trend lines and support and resistance zones and a lot of this a couple videos back. I've left it just because I want to just let this run and kind of see how it performs. Overall, things have kind of performed almost exactly as we were expecting. We kind of drew this trend line, I think, as things were coming down into this trend line. Since then, we've seen it kind of bounce off a little bit. We've seen some wicks here, but we've bounced with some pretty good velocity up off this trend line, and now at least at this point it does seem like we're moving up into this upper trend line. Now, one thing that I do think is very bullish for Jasmy and also for the wider crypto market is we have seen a lot of upward momentum lately, which is really good. But also I do think it is probably fairly fair to say that if Jasmy is going to make a consistent and sustained move upwards, we do need to see kind of some of the overall health return to the market in general. So until that happens, we are going to be kind of trending in the zone. As I've said before, we do have plenty of time to where, potentially even, mid-October, if we get really, really deep down in this wedge. But part of what I said in the title of my video is, we have moved with some pretty sustained velocity up off of this trend line. We've made it up, I want to say, yeah, it's like 17.5% over the past 3 days. And so if we were to kind of mimic a further 17.5% move, let's say over the next 4 days, we will have broken pretty sustainably over that trend line. Now this is something where, I can't promise you, well, obviously nobody can promise you anything, right? But I'm not here to say that this is what I think is going to happen. I think what we can see is, we'll see it maybe move up closer to this line. And then I think depending with the level of strength that we see it kind of run into this this upper trend line, that will depend if we can break through and then stay broken through sustainably. You know, obviously we have seen breaks through of this trend line in the past, but they are only wicks on the daily chart. So that is something important to note, that, you know, we need to break through, we need to close above, and then ideally, you know, continue upwards on a secondary candle as well. That's kind of really what we'd be wanting to look for. And then I think we can see some overall health and strength return back to the Jasmy chart. So that's one thing I wanted to look at. The other thing I want to take a look at here is the CoinGecko chart. Now, if you are noticing, you'll see that I've changed it so we're looking at it by market cap. As we mentioned in a previous Jasmy video, Jasmy is almost fully diluted. So the total market cap and the fully diluted valuation are basically comparable. But as I have said in previous videos, and as I will continue to say, this chart is somewhat redundant to the chart that we just looked at, right? However, the reason I brought this chart up is because I think it is absolutely crucial to constantly and consistently remind everyone, market cap matters. Price does not matter. So, you know, looking at this market cap, we are sitting at about 1.1 billion, just above. That's pretty decent. You know, I would say this is in the size of a decent sized project. It's definitely, you know, not a micro cap. It's definitely not a small cap, probably not even a mid cap. It is, I would say, you know, a large cap, but also it kind of hasn't ascended to that blue chip tier. I will say, you know, sometimes you have to determine value based on kind of the scope and the ambitions of the project. Jasmy is something where $1 billion could be still low, right? Like there are some certain tokens, I won't mention any specifically, but you know, if they're running up into a $1 billion market cap, you're starting to look at that and being like, okay, like maybe this is a bit aggressive, right? Well, I think Jasmy, you know, as we kind of went over in my price prediction video, you know, 40, 60, 100 maybe in like absolute best case scenario, like the 100 billion, those are all like possibly reasonable market caps, right? So, you know, a 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 100x maybe, like I said, I wouldn't be counting on 100x, but you know, those types of valuations I do think are possible given the market that Jasmy is playing in. We got to remember that, you know, data brokers is a $200 billion a year business. IoT is a fairly large and only growing market that people are coming into. AI obviously is like the new shiny object. That is the talk of the town. So there's a lot of, you know, really exciting high growth markets that Jasmy is playing in that could really push their value fairly dramatically. So, and that's the next thing I wanted to look at, is going off of Jasmy's Medium article that they posted. They're actually doing a exhibit at the tech, like at some tech expo in Japan. And one thing that, well, I guess two things that they are highlighting is the Jasmy platform to support the data utilization revolution, and then the Jasmy Initiative membership program. And so essentially what both of these things are is the Jasmy platform, they're essentially trying to onboard businesses to use their like their data system without needing to build a database. And, you know, that comes complete with decentralized IDs and log data management and things like that, like we're seeing in here. So, you know, that's good. And then the other thing that we have here is the Jasmy platform. And, you know, this is essentially, you know, the data sovereignty thing that, you know, we do keep hitting on. This is something that is, I guess, more specific to businesses. But, you know, here we are, you know, IoT, blockchain, AI, like these are the huge things that obviously are, in my opinion, you know, they might define the decade or, you know, potentially the generation, you know, that we're sitting in right now. So this is something that's very important. The Jasmy Initiative essentially was created to kind of help bring awareness and, you know, also, I guess, like assist functionality on their Jasmy platform. So this is something that I think is good. You know, I think they're trying to bring overall better market and brand awareness to the Jasmy coin and the Jasmy ecosystem. I think they're also really looking to try and explain their vision and why it matters, right? This whole like nuance with data brokers, it's a little unclear to me where people sit in terms of like, are they even aware of data brokers? If they are aware of data brokers, do they know how much data brokers are making off of our data? Like there's a lot of, I think, uncertain and unknown questions here that we don't necessarily have answers to, you know, at this point in time. So that's something that I think, they're really trying to kind of push that awareness and kind of educate the customer, so to speak, a little bit, which I do think is very good. So overall, those are kind of the updates that we had on Jasmy today. Hopefully, this information was useful and helpful to you. As we can see, things are looking good, for Jasmy and the wider crypto ecosystem. We'll go over a market update probably later in the day to cover some of the macro factors that have happened that probably explain a lot of this. But overall, things are looking good. I'm pretty happy with where we're at. Hopefully, at least at this point in time, it's looking like the dip and the point where we were in max fear could have been a great point to kind of load up on some more crypto and some high conviction plays. I know that I did. So, hopefully, if you were one of the fearless, you were able to do that, and hopefully you're sitting in some pretty nice profits right now. And, hopefully it's only just getting started, because we're starting to see, some of these macro factors starting to change in our favor, which is great. So anyway, if you found the information in this video useful, please do like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Also, as I said in the beginning of the video, I do really enjoy reading comments, so feel free to drop a comment, with whether questions, concerns, comments, feedback, anything, I do appreciate seeing it. Anyway, thank you for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one.